Well, we know where our political leaders stand in Iraq, but what about you? Our next guest surveyed a group of everyday Democrat and Republican voters to get their take on the conflict and how they think our political leaders are handling it. Lee Carter is with Mislansky & Partners. She joins me this morning. Thanks for being here, Lee.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go through some sound and opinion here of the political leadership as it relates to Iraq. And let's listen to then the evaluation from the American people. This is President Obama assuring Americans that they will not be dragged into another war in Iraq.
I know that many of you are rightly concerned about any American military action in Iraq, even limited strikes like these. I understand that. I ran for this office in part to end our war in Iraq and welcome our troops home, and that's what we've done. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not allow the United States to be dragged into fighting another war in Iraq.
What do you see there?
So what we saw there is a low of 49, a high of 71. Overall, I think he did a really good job of bringing people along. I'd give him an A on that.
Okay, so he gets an A for that messaging. The response was positive coming out of that.
The response was positive because I think it was really important that he put a distinction there and said this isn't going to be another war. And if he was going to go out with this targeted airstrike language and this humanitarian effort language that wasn't very credible, he had to distance itself from the past. And he did a pretty good job with it there.
Interesting there. Okay, so Hillary Clinton says that we can learn from the problems that we've had in the Middle East in the past. This is a piece of what she said, voiced over.
If you're looking at what we could have done that would have been more effective, would have been more accepted by the Egyptians on the political front, what could we have done that would have been more effective in Libya, where they did their elections really well under incredibly difficult circumstances, but they looked around and they had no levers to pull because they had these militias out there. My passion is, let's do some after-action reviews. Let's learn these lessons. Let's figure out how we're going to have different and better responses going forward.
Sounds measured. What did the American people?
Well, there was a low there of about 50, a high of 73. We saw a drop when she was backwards looking. We saw a positive as she started to say, let's learn. I think what's interesting here is that it was really difficult to distance yourself from Obama, and that's what she's trying to do without seeming overly negative. So what she did is she used language that said that she was curious. She used language that said she was open. She said, we're going to do a review. Let's learn from this. And so it wasn't a total slam, but it was saying, I'm different and I'm curious and something different is going to happen. Overall, I'd give her a B.
Okay, so the response was a B on this. So far, the messaging that's moving forward from these leaders is working.
It is working.
Okay, Dick Durbin here says that the conflict in Iran has no chance of escalating into a war. Take a listen.
Well, I can tell you this, escalating it is not in the cards. Neither the American people nor Congress are in the business of wanting to escalate this conflict beyond where it is today. I think the president's made it clear this is a limited strike. He has, I believe, most congressional support for that at this moment. To go beyond is really going to be a challenge.
So here we had a low of 50, a high of 65. I think he's like the solid B student. You weren't really excited about him, but he wasn't defensive. He answered the question, and he showed that he had congressional support, and that was really important to the people.
But despite violence increasing and crises globally, this messaging seems to be pretty calm and measured. So is it working despite the reality?
You know, I think messaging hits you first in your gut, and then it hits you in the head. And so I think first people are in the gut reaction saying this is pretty good, but as people are seeing more and more, they're concerned. And so we need to have leadership and we need to have messaging that reassures us.
Okay, thank you so much, Lee Carter. Always appreciate your take on this.